If you've been having issues with budgeting, it might not be the problem at all. A lot of the times we budget and we still feel broke, stressed, or anxious afterwards, and we're not actually seeing any significant or consistent change. So that's why in this video, I want to address why you might not be seeing the results that you want when it comes to budgeting and the 3 signs that something needs to be fixed ASAP. The first sign is you're probably saving less than you planned. So what this normally reveals is that there's a lack of alignment or there's some unrealistic expectation, right? If you plan for the end of the month to have saved 1,000 and you keep coming up short, let's say $500, $200, then obviously we need to readjust your budget and goals. It could look like reverse budgeting as a way to say, okay, you know what? This is actually how much I have, and I know this is coming in every week, 2 weeks, every month. Let me work backwards and decide from what is coming in, what is going to go straight into my savings. I like to think of it as paying yourself first or paying a bill, right? We often don't treat our savings like a bill. We see it as a luxury or a thing that's nice to have, but most people aren't able to do it. Treat it like your rent that you have to pay every month and those bills, right? Your phone bills, all those other things that you treat as necessities should also apply to your savings. So I feel as if you are falling short every month, either your savings goal is way too big and it was unrealistic to begin with, definitely go back to the drawing board and see what is actually feasible and to automate it. And it's okay to just start small. Maybe your savings goal is too big and maybe you can bring it down a bit. So from $500, maybe it's $250, have it, right? And see if that becomes achievable. And over time, you'll be able to see, okay, what actually is working and what seems a bit too aspirational. The second sign is your expenses keep outweighing your income. You cannot budget if there is more money going out than coming in. The whole point of budgeting is to see how much you have left over and where to put that excess money to pay down debt, increase savings goals, investment goals, your emergency fund, right? So what I would do is if you realize that your expenses is more than your income, obviously most people would just say increase your income, but we know that isn't as easy. It's much easier to minimize things first before thinking about, okay, how can I expand my income? And I say this because majority of people have a problem with overspending and we live in a consumer society. If you are living, Western Hemisphere, Europe's colonialism type economies, then you most likely are part of a consumer society. And so there are a lot of things that are being sold to us. And so we put ourselves into debt, trying to keep up with a certain status. Debt happens. And most of us have had taken on debt at some point in our lives, and that's okay. I've had debt for school, car loans, but the goal is to try to resource things as much as possible without having to owe somebody later with interest on top of it and give them back more than you initially took from them. So I would say definitely look to see where you can minimize. A lot of people don't like to do that because it feels very sacrificial and okay, what do I have to give up here? I don't want to have to. This doesn't seem fun. But I encourage you to see it as an opportunity to give you back more wealth down the road. So making those small tweaks and adjustments, and also just making sure is your spending in alignment with your values, the future version of you and where you're trying to go, and really be honest with yourself about that. The third sign is you feel anxious or confused after looking at your numbers. If that is you, it makes sense why your budget isn't working. I would say budgeting shouldn't leave you in this like fight or flight state. And oftentimes before you even go to budget, that is where people really feel the emotional weight because it's like, I'm so scared to see the numbers. Where am I at? And I don't want to see, that I have more debt or that my savings is lower than I thought and all these surprises. But trust me, at the end of the day, once you actually know the issue, you're better able to solve it instead of just sweeping it under the rug and then the dirt just like accumulates, and it becomes unhealthy for you. The environment is just unsafe, right? This buildup of toxins that you have to live with. It's not worth it in the long run. Sometimes you have to dust under the couch and the bed and the rug. Yes, it sucks to see it and to have to deal with it, but you'll know how to move forward after you're able to look at it. Also, try to make budgeting feel fun so you don't feel anxious going into it or after. So I always like to encourage my clients to have some sort of grounding practice going in and afterwards. So you really should see it as a date where you're getting ready, prepping, wanting to look your best, wanting to feel your best ahead of the meet, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to your money. Don't just whip out your bank account and start looking. Set an intention, do it in the comfort of your home or somewhere where you feel very safe and comfortable and grounded. Maybe do a little meditation, light a candle, play some good music, talk to a friend, whatever it is before actually looking at your money. If you're making a decision when you're stressed or you're anxious, you're less likely to make a smarter decision. So just keep that in mind. You want to be calm and centered going into this practice. And of course, you might see things that you don't want to see and emotions will arise, right? Like, I'm not immune to that. It's not always bad whenever you go to look at your money. Sometimes there's good things happening too that you don't need to stress over if you just went to look at what was happening in your accounts, right? So often, what I would do is after I do see something, I allow myself to feel the emotions and let it work through me. Then do a little grounding practice, maybe meditation. I sit with it and I say, okay, this doesn't feel good, but how can I feel better about this? What is one thing I can do today to try to change the direction of my financial situation? How can I show myself grace? Maybe I am trying hard and I'm not seeing results, but that doesn't mean it's still not possible. Journaling, I highly recommend after you're done because then you're able to really reflect. And this is actually something that I've created. It's a wealth tracker that you'll find in the description below. And I also have a webinar that I had a lot of fun creating, and it's really around gaining financial clarity. So going from confusion to financial clarity. And I focus on the 3 mistakes that people are making when it comes to their finances overall. So definitely take a look at both offers in the link below in the description. And they're both completely free at no cost. Really, these are just resources to better serve you and help you along your journey. Confusion often comes from not having a clear decision framework. Sometimes spreadsheets don't work. For myself, I've never been a fan of spreadsheets. The only time I fill out spreadsheets is like when I'm ready to do my taxes each year. My dad's an accountant, so I gather up that information to send to him. I usually use my notes app. I regularly check my accounts. So I'll regularly go in to see where I'm at, and I just have a mental note of like, okay, this is kind of what things are looking like for this week. And every week I do that to kind of make those updates in my head. In the past, I've also played around with budgeting apps. So that's also really good because I just link all my cards. If you struggle with budgeting, try a budgeting app. That way you'll be able to see more clearly, what am I spending my money on? Like, maybe you didn't realize a lot of money is going towards food. I know for myself, a lot of money goes towards food without even really having to have a budgeting app or a spreadsheet to look at it. Like, I could just go through my bank statements. It's food, right? So what are you spending most of your money on? Do you feel good about that? You can step that back a bit, roll that back a bit. Maybe you should be making a bit more investments in yourself, right? You have more abundance awarded to you and you can actually save and invest more, but you weren't doing that. So that only comes and happens with looking at the numbers and then reflecting. Don't just look at it and you're like, oh, I'm broke. Yeah, I don't got any money. No, sit with yourself. What do you want? Do you want to be in this situation? No. What can you do to slowly get out of this? What are the steps that you are going to take, right? You can set goals. Think small. What can you do today? What can you do within the next week? to build new, healthier habits. Sometimes it's a lack of financial literacy. Sometimes it's a lack of support systems. Sometimes it's income generating opportunities that you don't know about, or you just weren't aware of that exist that I could put you onto. So like I said, it's not just you. You're not always the fault. Sometimes it's the system. Sometimes it's just maybe not reflecting as much on what you're seeing. And sometimes it's just maybe doing too much. Anyways, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.